Hello, Deborah. It is
Good
so good to
morning.
have you here.
Good morning. It's wonderful to be back.
Thank you so much for joining us. And with all the disasters that we've had over the last 18 months, the pandemic, the heat dome, and now the floods, I'm really pleased that you've got them through.
Thank you. Happy to be here and very grateful that we personally haven't been affected. So it's feeling very blessed.
Most definitely. And I understand that your topic today is influence and visibility. It is so very important, something that we need to talk about. We have ideas to share, experiences to share. You know, one name that comes to mind when speaking of confidence is the con man. Do you know the origin of the con man? I only learned the other day that con actually comes from the word confidence, the confidence man.
Well,
Where
yeah, and confidence and convict. I mean, as you know, on my background, I used to work in a federal penitentiary for men. So they certainly do have a lot of confidence when they're working in their genre, in their field, even if it is in the illegal world for certain.
well, we're talking about the trustee, the person that we can trust, the honest confidence man, the person who can really help us, the leader, the person that we can follow. You
Yes.
know, words that come to mind when we talk about confidence is it's contagious. First of all, have you noticed how people are drawn to those who are confident? And when we are looking for somebody to follow, we seek those people who are confident because we believe that they are confident because they know, they have knowledge, they have experience. If we follow them, we will not be hurt. They will, in fact, help us.
Yeah, it's a really good point that you make there that we are naturally drawn to people that exude confidence in areas particular where we are not as confident or assured of our skill level or knowledge level in an area. So we tend to gravitate to people that have that knowledge and experience. So, you brought up a really good point about all the disasters that we're experiencing right now. And for our audience, of course, that's watching, we're both in British Columbia. I'm in the Kelowna area. Moreno is in the lower mainland in the Burnaby area. So essentially, we're cut off right now from each other roadways. But the idea of how do you actually prepare for some of these disasters that are happening. And I mean, this is an issue that directly affects businesses globally. I mean, we are looking from the pandemic point of view and going forward, supply chain issues that are really affecting companies and organizations. And people are, of course, panicking. We are seeing at the moment, because of some of the floods, the after effects of a lot of the fires that are taking place and the heavy rains, is people are doing a lot of hoarding. We saw it during the pandemic. We were seeing it now with food. And people are losing confidence in the supply chains, whether it's business or whether it's government, being able to fulfill and supply what is needed in a timely manner. I have to share a really interesting video that I had watched just the other day. It was a live video with a business from the US that was a very well-established business. And the president of the company was talking about how during the pandemic, or actually prior to, they were meeting with the management team on a weekly basis. And they were looking at every aspect of the business, from the technology, the machinery, the equipment, how everything is being supplied and where is their source to supply everything, including all the nuts and bolts for fixing the machinery, as well as packaging and bottles. And then what was happening with the delivery of the supply chain. So they decided very early on that they would locally source out everything and have everything supplied, including the plastic bottles, for instance, were 40 miles away from their headquarters or their labs. They were noticing that when they were preparing product to be shipped abroad, they were giving an example of Malaysia. So shipping from the US, of course, putting things onto trucks, taking it to the rail cars, having it railed right across to a port, put onto a container ship, and then across to Asia. What they had found was the traditional supply chains were 5 to 6 weeks. That was a normal timeline that they could expect. Then with the onset of the pandemic, where supply chains started to be interrupted on a variety of different levels, that extended, and they were watching because they were monitoring everything so closely. They could tap in and understand where things were being interrupted and how long it was taking. So it moved from 5 to 6 weeks to 5 to 6 months and longer. So even when we moved from Vancouver to the Kelowna area a year ago, August, so a year and a half ago, we had already ordered from appliances basically for our kitchen, for our laundry. So we had ordered those early in July and August. What we found was we didn't get them until literally it was December 31st that we got them delivered and installed. So that supply chain is a real big aspect of it. Then when you add on top of that flooding, where they're inaccessibility, how do people navigate around that, and making sure the staff is safe and the staff can be supported. Those become huge factors. They can shake us to the core as business owners. They can create a lot of problems for us. But this idea of being visible and boosting your confidence is to reach out. This is an opportunity for business owners to reach out, to provide the kind of support that businesses now are craving for, that they are needing when they're in real crisis mode. They need somebody to talk to. They need that support. So this is the perfect time for businesses to reach out and reassure their clients. So I'm sure you have some comments to share about that, Moreno.
Sure, Deborah. Although before we carry on, I want to let those online who are leaving comments that we will respond to your comments after the event. So if you have any questions, write them down. We will respond after the event. Going back to confidence. People, as you say, are confident when they know what is going on. When unexpected events happen, then people become confused. Things are not clear. People lose confidence. And as in that example, in that company that you explained to us, first, they were organized. They got organized. Then once a person is organized, then one can plan. And one of the areas where one needs to plan is to do risk analysis, identify what can possibly go wrong, and then mitigate those risks. In other words, plan that in the event that these risks do happen, what are the steps that need to be taken? What are the resources that are needed? Because unfortunately, if one does not do this planning and one is caught off guard, then one panics and a person cannot deal with these emergency situations. So definitely one of the ways to build confidence is to be prepared.
Yeah, the preparedness, the risk management part of it, where a lot of companies are failing is that they're not seeking the advice of experienced people that have the number of years in the industry working with issues and problems and challenges. And then they're not thinking broadly enough in terms of anticipating worst case scenario. And that is a really key element. They think, well, it's never happened before, so it's not likely to happen. And things are changing now in the world. We need to be able to think, to be able to prepare, to think worst case scenario, and then also to think the best case scenario. And knowing that if the worst possible thing does happen, that in most cases, because we've built relationships with people, with other vendors, suppliers, with other colleagues in business, it does require that we reach out and we ask for help. And surprisingly, communities come together. We actually see this happening. We saw it during the pandemic. We saw it during the fires. We saw it, we're seeing it now with the floods, that communities are stepping up big time, and they're jumping in to make things happen. And the big part of the risk management process is the ability to assess things quickly as they're happening. And the best opportunities to assess and to be able to pivot quickly and to move and navigate quickly is you have to get the right information. And you have to be able to foresee and anticipate what are the possibilities of what could happen. So that ability to assess quickly is based on experience, because a lot of people can look at what's happening and not really understand what it is that they're looking at. We found that during the fires in business, when businesses were hugely affected, homeowners were hugely affected, is decisions were made that were the wrong decisions, and it was based on a lack of experience. And they did not take into consideration the people that had decades of experience in the industry, nor did they accept the help that was offered to them initially. So sometimes people come around and they say, we can give you a hand. And we say, no, that's okay. The idea is accept the help. Whatever's given to you, whatever is offered to you graciously, accept that. And that is a big part of working through that risk management, is building those relationships. We talked about this before, Moreno, that, my philosophy is everything we acquire in life is with and through other people. So the tighter our relationships are in the business community, the greater support that we can get, and the faster that support can come to be able to navigate those issues and those challenges and problems. So we need to be able to tap into that and simply ask people, can you give us a hand? We need help. We need the support. People will pull together in extraordinary ways to give a hand when people are in need.
Deborah, to give you an easy example that everyone is familiar with, when we move to a new area, to a new suburb, when we move house, or even immigrate to a new country, what is the first thing that we do? We familiarize ourselves with the surrounding and get to know as many people as we can. Who is who? What do they do? How can we help them? How can they help us? In other words, we do our own networking. Only then will we feel comfortable, because that is the first thing that we seek, safety. And once we know how we can go about our daily lives safely, we will start feeling confident. And in business, it's very similar. There are various inputs that we need. We need to exercise business activities. And we know that we can't do everything ourselves. We always need help from other people. If we're isolated and alone, clearly we will not be confident. However, once we surround ourselves with helpful, knowledgeable people who we can depend on, then that will help us become more confident. Would you agree, Deborah?
Oh, absolutely. Totally agree with that. I also believe that this is a great opportunity for people to leverage their own mindset and to step into places of courage. This is an important part of business growth and development. Developing that confidence, developing the visibility, is really understanding that we have these extraordinary gifts and talents within us. And sometimes we have to rely on ourselves to dig deep, to pull those things out, to pull those factors out that are really going to separate us apart from other businesses that are not doing so well, or to be able to anticipate what could be going wrong or how we can leverage what is happening without taking advantage of people, but supporting and helping and adding value to people's lives and to their livelihoods, for that matter. So, Moreno, share with us a couple of the routines and habits that you use to actually boost confidence in your life, in your business.
One of the most important is to keep things simple. I know that sometimes I fall into the trap of overcomplicating things, and that's when things become confusing. It's very important to keep things simple, to keep things in perspective. And certainly, one of the best ways to start is with a goal. Know what one wants to achieve, what it is that a person wants to attain. Know the position that one is in, and then develop a plan. Because once we know where we want to go, then we can find a way there. There are many ways there. We've often heard said that there are many, all roads lead to Rome. However, they're not all the same. And I've heard you mention, Deborah, plans need to be flexible. They can't be rigid. Of course, the world is changing all the time. However, we are much better off having some direction, having some route to follow, as opposed to not knowing where we're going, because then we're like a ship at sea with no map, no direction. We just let the waves toss us around, and who knows where we end up, probably wrecked on some rocks somewhere. So having clear direction is most important. That is definitely key. And that underlies confidence, and of course visibility as well. And visibility comes into the picture because alone there's not much that we can achieve. To attract the right people to us, both those who can help us and those whom we can help, we need to be visible. We need to increase our visibility. So we first need to be known, by becoming more visible, and then we need to be liked with more exposure. And ultimately, what we want to achieve is trust. When we are trusted, then others can help us, and we will be much more easily able to help others. Trust is so very important. How do you feel about that element of trust, Deborah? How important is it to you?
Yeah, 100%. It is one of the most important things. Interesting enough, a number of years ago when I was doing a lot of traveling, speaking, and training, when I was talking to HR staff, what I had found was there was 4 values that were missing in the workplace environment, and they were very difficult to assess in interview situations. They were loyalty, commitment, integrity, and trust. Integrity, of course, being honoring your word. So those 4 factors are very critical for boosting your confidence in an organization, and knowing that you've chosen the right employees to work with, you've chosen the right staff, that you maybe have even chosen the right products and services to be able to promote to prospects and to clients. So the habits and the routines for boosting confidence, I think, also need to include the courage aspect, the willingness to jump into something that you're not comfortable with, that you don't have a lot of experience doing. You have more experience in the technology arena than I do, Moreno. So the idea is that you and I have collaborated and to do these LinkedIn Lives and to be able to do these presentations. So that, in a sense, boosts my confidence. I have a lot of platform speaking and keynote experience. Doing it online is not so much. So it was my willingness to be able to go, yes, I'm willing to do this and to make mistakes and to flub. And if anybody's watched any of the past shows, they'll see some of those mistakes. A big part of that boosting the confidence requires that we really practice our listening skills, and we really practice asking very strategic questions to really garner and pull out a lot of deep information, so that we know how to better serve people and give them what it is that they're wanting and what they're needing. And really the aspect of listening, there are a lot of business owners that are struggling right now big time. So the idea of like, what are you needing, really listening and to hear and dig a little bit deeper and saying, tell me more. I want to hear more about this process. But the idea of being comfortable making mistakes, I think, is a huge part of boosting your confidence and your willingness to be visible in the online world. So there are different routines and habits that both of us are using. I love what Mel Robbins does in her book, High Five Habit, where she goes up to the camera or she goes up to the mirror in the morning and she does the, high five. And it does give you a dopamine hit. It does actually increase your confidence in yourself and your own capabilities when you're doing things that are difficult, when you're striving and moving forward, when you're not getting the results that you're wanting immediately. So I think we have to find the techniques and the routines that actually work for us, that can help shift our mindset around to be able to persevere during difficult times and to be able to navigate those things and really be sensitive to other people and support and be inclusive of other people and being kind and being considerate of other people. So I think that adds a lot of it, boosts our own confidence, our own sense of wealth in terms of our worth. We feel wealthy and abundant because we are capable of helping other people. So people think abundance and wealth has to do strictly with the dollars and the money, but a lot of it has to do with our sense of worthiness, that we are valued and appreciated as human beings, and that we have something to offer, which isn't always something that can be sold that we have to offer, but information, being helpful, adding value to other people's lives and really making a difference. Those factors become very important in business.
You say some very interesting things, Deborah. Money definitely comes at the very end. That is the reward. It's not something that one should focus on. Definitely not at the outset. And while listening to you, some very interesting words were highlighted to me. One needs to relax and pause. Making mistakes is perfectly fine. Actually, it's expected. It's part of the learning process. One should not be afraid of making mistakes. It's a given. It's okay. And of course, one needs to practice. Practice, practice, practice. One needs to practice to improve. It's obvious. Nothing comes easy. Everything worthwhile requires sweat and tears. And you also mentioned listening. Listening is so very important. That is why we've been given 2 ears and 1 mouth. Listen twice as much as what we speak. And
I want to make a
yes.
point about the idea of the listening and supporting other people. We forget that if we're really experienced in a certain area, we forget what it's like when we first started. And the sense of uncertainty and that sense of doubt that we have inside of ourselves when we're brand new doing something, it is really important that we be compassionate towards other people, and we be supportive, and we be very encouraging of other people that are starting out, starting over, going through difficult times, trying to navigate things. The idea is we need to be there for each other, to boost and lift up each other in the business world. That is where we get more visibility. And you're not doing it, please, I want the audience to understand, we're not doing this with the intention of being visible. This has to come from a true heart, where you intentionally care about other people and you're lifting other people up. The backside of that, the benefits that come after that, is that other people remember you for being this helpful person, supportive and encouraging. That is a big factor. That has to do with your reputation. And that is something that you really want to guard in business, is how you care for and you step it up for other people.
And it doesn't happen overnight.
No.
It takes a long time. It's a journey. As I say, the secret to marketing success is to create content and post it consistently over a long period of time. One needs to be patient. One needs to develop relationships, which take time. And people look for honesty, trustworthiness. One can never work around that. It's expected.
It is. It is expected. One of the reasons why we were doing this particular topic for this live was that, of course, there's this confidence giveaway, which is being promoted by Mustafa Husseini. And there are a number of business owners that are giving things away to help people become more visible and more confident in the areas that they are specializing in or wanting to navigate in. So we're going to provide that link to you so you can take advantage of the wonderful gifts that are being given away. And I have to say that I'm really honored to be part of this process and am giving away a very generous gift to help people boost their confidence and their visibility. So it is something, just check it out, click on the link, take advantage of that, because a lot of business owners are stepping out and being super generous right now. And so you don't want to be saying, no, I don't want that. Open your heart, receive, because people are graciously giving. Open your heart and receive. That's a big part of boosting your confidence and visibility. Is sometimes we need a little help and support, and that's exactly what we're here to do.
I am posting that link now. Let's see if it's working.
So we know that a lot of business owners are really having a difficult time right now. Some are doing extraordinarily well. Bravo to you for that. But this is an opportune time for you to reach out to those that are not doing as well, and to be able to share some of your expertise, your knowledge, and to help others navigate through the process. That's a big part of giving back to community. So if it's all about the money exchange, that is not a healthy way to be right now. And the idea is it'll come back to you. It definitely will come back to you over a period of time. But, even what the president of Save On Foods is doing right now, they're doing whatever they can through that supply chain in the Lower Mainland in British Columbia to ensure that there's food on the shelves. People are hoarding. So they go out of their way. If they need to fly things in, they'll fly things in. But they will make sure that those things happen. There's a very tight-knit community of that entire supply chain working well and trying to navigate the difficulties right now. And they're working for you. They're working for the community. And that's an honorable thing.
Deborah, about the link, it appears that it did not successfully post. So after the event,
Perfect.
I will deal with that, but I want the listeners to be aware of that. So they can check back later for the link.
Definitely. We'll make sure that we comment, that we share the right links in there so that people can take advantage of the confidence giveaway. And knowing that they're not giving away their confidence, but that it's a giveaway to boost your confidence and your visibility. It's a really unique opportunity for all the businesses that are involved in this process, and a unique opportunity for our audience too, to take advantage of the wonderful gifts that are being presented right now.
Thank you, Deborah. I think we've reached the end of our session. Thank you for sharing your ideas and experience on confidence and visibility, which is so very important. And we need to constantly and consistently work on that, because it will benefit us mostly. Thanks to everyone. We will be back again next week, Thursday, 9 a.m. PST. Have a great week. To your continued success, and stay safe. A last word from you. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.